Hello BookTube, I thought today I would talk to you about a couple of books that I've read recently about anxiety. Is that noise annoying you? It's just making my hair look fabulous. It's the fan. It's 36 degrees outside. So I was going to script this video and I started to write it out and I just ended up writing irrationally emotional poetry, and I thought that wasn't really the way to go about it, because every time I talk about anxiety I tend to get a little bit distracted. Not so much distracted as emotional, because anxiety is something I suffer from and it has a big stigma around it. I think a lot of society is starting to open up about it now and talk about it, which is great. But it's also still a really difficult thing to do. So I've been reading a lot of books about it, and by a lot I mean so far I've read 2. I picked up a while ago by Sarah Wilson, First We Make the Beast Beautiful, which was the first one I bought simply because it's cover, because look at that, it's just gorgeous, it's so pretty. I was so nervous to read it, I was scared because it's an individualistic thing to talk about. And the second book that I picked up was Reasons to Stay Alive, which is mentioned in this book, but I also had heard about it quite a lot and I was looking for it anyway, and I'd heard of Matt Haig. I found him on the internet and Twitter and I followed him and he's genius. His conversation was very different to hers. I identified more with Matt Haig's version than with Sarah Wilson, but they're very different types of books. They both explore mental health issues, but they're also autobiographical as well, which is kind of a hard thing to judge a book on. I would put these in the same genre, even though in the bookshop they're in different sections. This one was in the self-help section and this one was in the health section, which is interesting. I think it's because this girl wrote I Quit Sugar and he wrote fiction. Anyway, they're both kind of memoirs and they weren't in that section either. Is that a new genre? Self-exploration and anxiety? They're self-help books, I think, but through personal journeys of the author, which is very, very personal and very specific and very individual. And of course it's not going to relate to everyone, which is why I didn't like First We Make the Beast Beautiful as much as I liked Reasons to Stay Alive. This one told the story of what was happening to this person and put a lot of relatable advice out. Things that you thought might be accomplishable and might be helpful, and I didn't have any qualms with it and I found it quite helpful. The Beast Beautiful was very inspiring. I've been writing poetry ever since I got this book, and I think that in itself is an amazing accomplishment for this book to have on anyone. But as I was reading it, I hated it. I mean, I was interested and I was fascinated, but I just couldn't read it without writing back. So this was a conversation that I had to take part in. I couldn't read it without fighting and yelling back at it. Things were sending me crazy, right? She talks to a lot of professionals in this and she seeks opinions of other people and she puts it all forward as information and fact and what you need to do to control your life, and that made me really angry. I'm not good with authority. I'm a rebel, so whenever somebody says this is how you must live, I'm like, well, excuse me, no it's not. And you know, my bristles, it gets my bristles up in my hackles and I get annoyed because she's telling me what to do. Whereas this guy, he's not telling me what to do, he's giving me suggestions and he's kind of just showing what happened to him and telling his journey and expressing his thoughts and opinions, and he's not so much being like, you have to live this way because otherwise you will have a terrible life, which is kind of what this woman is saying. I just feel belittled by her. This is the emotion that I was talking about when I was writing. It's kind of like rage, yeah. If I had to choose between which one of these two tell you to choose, I would definitely choose Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. I think it was just brilliant. It was shorter, it was much easier to get through. As soon as I finished reading it, I wanted to read it again, whereas with this one, I put it down and I'm like, wow, I need to pass this on to everybody I know, because now not only does it tell Sarah Wilson's side of anxiety, but because I've written so much in it, it now tells my side as well, which Cass, when you borrowed it, I'm pretty sure some parts of it made it better for you and some parts of it made it much worse, because you got all of my negativity in there, which most of my annotations for this were negative, whereas in this one, I don't think I wrote a single thing in there, which is interesting. I think that's actually, because I've been doing booktube now for 2 years, I find that if I don't have an intense need to write in the book, it's probably a better book. I might do a video on that later, actually. There was definite worth in both of them. I think it was good that I've read them both, and I think it was good that I read this one first, otherwise I might not have gotten through it. It has a lot in it where it's just trying to help you, it's trying really hard to help you, and I just didn't want that, whereas this one is not trying to help you, it's just trying to tell you something, it's just trying to tell you a story, and I think that is far more successful for communicating with me than trying to help me. There's no real spoilers in these because there's no real story to tell in them. I mean, there is a story of anxiety and panic attacks and triumphing over mental illness. Read the books, aim high, take what medium you can out of them and twist it round so that it suits your journey rather than just experiencing theirs. And you don't have to do everything the books say. Like, you don't have to follow the rules, but they're kind of there as guidelines if you should need them. So yes. When people are like, just relax, I'm like, I need to know what that means. In short, I really liked both books, especially Matt Haig, and thank you so much for watching, everyone. I would love to talk to you about your mental illness. I need any help with anything or just want to chat. I am more than happy to talk about anxiety. I obviously am not very good at it yet. It's very strange. I'll see you all next week for another video. How do you turn this thing off? I have to keep my house under 25 degrees, otherwise my fire alarm thinks that the house is about to burn down. True story, and it complains. It screams. It thinks it fears for its life and it yells very loudly.